Oh man, I used to crack my knuckles when I was younger. It was the weirdest thing though. Is like I used to see my sister and her friends do it, and I didn't really get the appeal of it. And then they kept doing it, and then I like creeped around the corner and then started trying to crack my own knuckles. I was like, what the frick? I kind of regret it in the long run, but
Yeah.
But I imagine, well, I don't know if it really helps if you need to ever punch someone, if having bigger knuckles helps you.
I'm not sure about that.
Or not.
Maybe.
I haven't seen anyone do any studies on it. Hello and welcome to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. Let me take a look real quick, make sure that we've got everything muted on the platforms. I always, oh, there we go. You need to mute that one. I always try and have.
Not sure about that.
Oh, there we go.
Maybe.
Anyone doing any studies on it? Oh, come on now. All right, there we go. I always try to have my stream open on the other platforms to keep an eye on it, make sure that I don't get flagged, and if I do, that I'm not rambling on for hours thinking I'm still recording. Right. We are joined today by our very special guest, RyanHaack. Is it Haack or Haack?
Haack, yes.
Haack, all right.
Yes.
Before we go anywhere, would you mind sharing with our audience like a little history, how you even got into starting a comic book company, your quote-unquote origin story, if you will?
Sure. So I got interested in the comic books fairly late in my adolescence, I guess, like when I was like 13 or 14. Instead of when I was really younger, I got kind of exposed to them during the New 52 era. And so from there, I kind of just started reading. And it was a good jumping on point. I think the New 52 is very controversial, but it cannot be denied that there's a lot of people who kind of got into comic books. Maybe not a lot of, there was a group of people, definitely, a demographic of people who got into comic books through that reboot. And I think me being one of them, and I think there was a lot of great titles. And from there, I kind of just like, this is something I want to do. I want to write. And I do all kinds of writing, but comic book writing is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And so in terms of collaborating on comic books, I kind of just started reaching out to people on ArtStation, on all these different platforms. It was, first, I started paying people to do the work, and then I started collaborating with people. I have different anthologies that I've worked on, short stories that I collaborate with people on, and we've published several volumes, and we have a website called theunspeakabletext.com. And then I also obviously am working on Bric-A-Brac, this book. And so collaborating with Raphael Sam on this book. I write novels, I write short stories. I have a podcast that I write short stories for every week, and then I read them. I write, I make short films. I do I write screenplays and stuff like that. But comic books has always been like a very important love to me. And so I guess that's kind of my origin story.
Oh my gosh, that's quite impressive. You've got all kinds of experience under your belt and everything too. Did it take you? Did it take you long to like dive into hiring talent? Did you do a lot of research leading up to it?
Yeah, I was definitely hesitant because I know a lot of people have fallen down, like they've paid people and not gotten the work. Thankfully, I've never had a situation like that, but I know that a lot of people who are, who go on those forums on Facebook or Reddit or whatever, and they, say, hey, I want to do this. They need a letterer or some kind of artist, and then they pay the artist up front, and then the artist never gives them the work back. Thankfully, I've never had a situation like that. I've worked with amazing people and that I still am in contact with. Never burned a bridge. Amazing to say that, because I know that a lot of artists, it's an awkward relationship because it's kind of like you have to, you're employing someone and you want them to go quick, especially when you're trying to, fulfill a project. You want them to hurry up. but at the same time, you want to be friends with them because they can decide to stop whenever they want to. They can literally drop their phone down and say, "I don't want to respond to this person again." So it's a weird relationship. And so yeah, definitely, I was hesitant at first because I was when I first did it, I was 18, using my own money. Now thankfully I have a little bit more. I'm still in college, but it's still a huge expense. And comics is a labor of love. That's why I liked writing novels, because it's kind of on my own accord, or short stories. But still, the appeal of comics is just great because it's one of the most unique art forms. I feel like just something that there's something so unique about it that a lot of other art forms just don't have. And so I just keep coming back to it, keep collaborating with people. On the other end of the spectrum, with my Unspeakable text. It's basically black and white stories that are 3 pages to 4 pages, and they're just suspense stories. Basically, it's basically, and we have about 20 to 25 stories out on our website right now. I've written all of them, and I've collaborated with different artists on them. And so with those are collaborations. So I literally reach out to someone and say, "Would you like to do this?" And it takes them however long, and that's it. And then once it's done, I letter it myself, and we put it online.
So these are like short stories. Like you'll have a topic that comes to mind, and then you'll write about it, and then you'll execute it.
Yeah, exactly. In the comic books, in that specific series, in the anthology series, it's basically I just think of an idea of some kind of horror thing, or some kind of, it's not necessarily like dark horror. It's just basic Twilight. It's very concept driven. A lot of my writing is concept driven. And so I just think of a situation, put characters in it, and usually that ends up being an episode. So, yeah.
Now, does that mean your genre in general that you like to tackle is horror specifically? Or do you do are you
all over the place? All over the place. Yeah, I would say it's all over the place. I never thought I would like doing some horror stories, but I think there's something that's really fun about it. Like, it's really weird to say that, but there's something super fun about horror, but also adventure stories, also obviously children's stories. I just get a kick out of writing whatever I want to write. That's honestly, I don't really have a specific niche. So it's just kind of whatever comes to my mind and whatever I feel driven to put out. And so that's how I've rolled from the beginning.
So you're in college. Did you actually, over the years, take numerous classes in writing, or is it
yeah, definitely. I actually went to a boarding school in high school for writing. I was really lucky enough to be accepted for a couple years. And other than that, that's really all the teaching I've had in writing. The most important thing for writers is to read every day. That's it. I mean, if you read every day and you write every day, consistently, you will get better. You can't not get better. And so that's it. I mean, there's nothing a teacher is going to tell you. There's nothing, a book about writing is going to tell you. It's just about reading every day and then writing every day. And you have to do it, and you have to keep doing it. And that's it. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect writer by any means. I have a long road to pave, and there's a lot of new things I want to try and do, but I that has worked. I believe that it truly does work. So if you just do it every day.
That's pretty sweet. So by now you've probably read like dozens of novels this year. Especially with the pandemic and goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I also read that the more you read, the more developed your vocabulary becomes, because you're being exposed to all of these new words that people in daily life don't necessarily use. So I find that part fascinating. Would you say that you're predominantly a writer and storyteller, or do you also? It sounds like you also do lettering, but are you also an artist? Do you?
No, just writer. Yeah. Yeah, I cannot draw. So that's why I decided I would do movies or films and stuff like that too. I'd be like, well, I should do because I can't draw, and it takes dedication, a lifetime dedication to really draw. And it's kind of like writing in that way. But directing is a skill that I think requires less of a entire life dedication. And it's kind of like, you don't have to draw, it's just, you can get really good at it kind of quickly. You can get competent at it pretty quickly. Whereas drawing, it seems like it's a life dedication, as I said, like it takes a long time. And so I figured that would be the better thing, I think.
Nice. So I wanted to better understand what's going on here. So we're checking out the Indiegogo campaigns you have.
Yes.
And like you touched on, you have an unspeakable text.
Yep.
Evil Book has been, let's see, that's a horror comic anthology.
Yes.
That one has since closed.
Yes, we did not succeed.
And so that you're probably going to revisit and
definitely
tune and relaunch.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to go for about 30 new stories. I want to have 30 new stories by the time we relaunch, because I want to give people a really good value and, just try to really make it happen for them. So
nice. And then we've got Bric-A-Brac #1 fantasy story. Now, it doesn't display once a campaign is closed, or once it goes in demand. Does this represent being fully funded? Or
yes, I did fully fund this book. Yes, this was the first, but this was this one right here.
All right.
Yep. And since, ironically, in the last year, I've failed four campaigns. I've succeeded in 2. And so it's like, as you know, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to crowdfund. And I was so lucky to be able to crowdfund this one because, obviously without this one, we couldn't have the one we're talking about today. And so, right. Yeah,
that's really impressive though. I mean, the thing about entrepreneurs that people seem to forget is with all that hard work, there's going to be a lot of failure.
Yeah.
But what makes the successful entrepreneur stand out is the never give up attitude.
Right.
Yeah, sure, you fail, but if you can glean lessons from every campaign and, learn from your mistakes and improve upon your finished project and polish it, then you're going nowhere but up.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you've also got Bric-A-Brac #1 and 2, the complete Christmas story.
Yes, this is one we tried at the beginning of the year. We did fail very badly, but it was basically an attempt to have both this book and then just basically an entire graphic novel, because that's what people wanted. They told me this one, it kind of ended on a cliffhanger, and I was like, well, okay, maybe we should just make a graphic novel, have the entire story. I guess people didn't want it. It was a lofty goal. I was not prepared for it. I just thought, why not? Let's try it. But, we did fail. But again, like you said, you learn lessons. That was obviously way too big. And so I decided we would just go with an issue instead of an entire graphic novel, which makes, some people were kind of saying you should do the issue or you should do the graphic novel. It's just however I can get the story out. That's the goal at this point. That's what I want to do at this point. However I can get the story out, that's how I want to do it in the best way possible. So
when you were garnering feedback on which route to take, whether it be a whole complete novel versus separate issues, did the people who wanted the complete graphic novel actually outweigh those who wanted the individual issues?
It was a 50-50, actually. It was it might have been actually more for the graphic novel. But and I get it, because these campaigns, people want the complete thing. They're paying a lot of money, and when you can get books that are hardbound, and there's so many great books that are graphic novels that are being crowdfunded now. Just so many awesome books that are kind of like one and dones. I think people really wanted that. I wanted that. Of course I wanted that, because I would love the book to be completed in one thing. But the benefit of doing issues is that you get to have different covers. You get to campaign multiple times, which means you get more fan art, essentially.
Yeah.
And also you get more excitement, and you get more people backing the book, and you get more fans, and you add more people to your mailing list. There's a lot of benefits of having an issue instead of a graphic novel. So, again, these are things that you learn, and you never know. Obviously, when they're all said and done, when all the books are done, I want to put them in a graphic novel format. I would love to do that. So.
Right. Awesome. I was looking at the one of the older campaigns.
Yeah, that was from May.
The full. When you are seeking out the feedback from those who are becoming familiar with your projects, are you interacting with them predominantly through Facebook, or are you also using other types of social media?
Yeah, I use Twitter. I try to post on Twitter every day. I think it is useful. I didn't quite understand it at first. It doesn't make sense that you would, to me, it just didn't really make sense. But I kind of understand now. It's very important to use. Facebook is great. And, just posting every day is great. And looking at your analytics and trying to really figure out where are you getting the most traction. That's important, I think. Trying to figure out where your backers are coming from, where the people who are looking at the page are coming from, and then trying to use and continually use that. So wherever on the analytics it says I'm doing well, I try to focus and hone in on those websites. So sometimes it's Facebook, or sometimes it's Twitter, or sometimes it's never really Instagram, because I feel like Instagram, it's very difficult. People don't want to go on your links, and it's not built for that. It's not really built for the, at least in my opinion, not built for the going on different websites or being taken to different campaigns. You have to go through a lot to actually get on a link to get sent to the campaigns. It's just not a great website for advertisement. I mean, maybe if you're selling clothes, obviously, but or makeup, I suppose, but not really comic books.
Yeah, from what I've seen, Instagram seems to do well for, like you say, clothes and makeup.
Yeah.
But also, I'm seeing a lot of activity from cosplayers.
Yes.
And it's pretty impressive, the network that they've formed. I have to agree, I haven't seen a whole lot in the way of like promotion for crowdfunded comic books on Instagram at all, really.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult because they don't let you put ads on your like your little highlights or whatever, unless you have a certain amount of followers, and they limit you a lot. They limit you very much. So it's hard to kind of advertise on that at front. Whereas on Facebook, you can literally just put links everywhere, or it's just very different.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get the knack of spreading the word on my Facebook page. It's really slow going, and I refuse to buy Facebook ads because I hear too many stories saying it's useless. Everyone tries to use it, and it helps to some degree, but then you hit a ceiling or something.
Yeah.
So you use Facebook and Instagram primarily,
and Twitter, definitely. Twitter is really important.
Oh yeah, Facebook and Twitter rather.
Right.
Gotcha. And you know what? I think I failed to ask. Do you guys have? Do you or your company have? Oh yeah, you do have a sheath. Yeah, you do. Let me share with the chat. You've got a YouTube channel and podcasts.
I do, yes. I upload 2 podcasts a week, completely original stories written by myself. Yep.
Nice. So, if your podcasts are on your YouTube channel, is it like, huh? Weird. All right. If podcasts are on your YouTube channel, podcasts are typically like, the landscape might have changed since I last really looked into it, but are podcasts still predominantly like an audio medium where
Yeah, it's also on Apple Music and Spotify as well. It is yeah. So there's an audio version and a video version. Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Audio and video versions.
Yes, exactly.
Your podcasts are on Apple and everything?
Yep.
And Spotify.
Yes.
Do they have like very stringent or strict requirements to qualify to be on the platform?
No, you kind of I pay for a service called Spreaker, and basically you use it and you upload your things there, and then Spreaker, it takes maybe like 6 hours or something, but they eventually upload to Spotify. You have to ask permission, and then Spotify, Apple Music, that kind of thing.
Did you say it's called Spreaker? SPREAER?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of sites that can do that for you, though. It seems like there's like dozens at this point, because podcasts become so popular that it seems like there's just so many of these websites that they say, oh, you can log in on this and we'll put your things on Spotify. We'll do all this for you. So there's a lot of them. It's just the one I use.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think that helps you get the word out about your Indiegogo projects? Do you use it for that purpose, or
not really? I mean, I don't know if it really does, but I hope that eventually I get a small little following, because I put a lot of work and effort into them, and I think I will eventually. And again, it's also just another outlet to get my work out there, and I always have that need to kind of do that when I'm not doing campaigns or making films or this sort of thing. It's a really easy way to just give people new stuff. Like, and you never know if I'll get a following or not. I try to improve the work, and I would suggest that everyone who does crowdfunding campaigns, they really should kind of try to make their own content, because I think it's really important for people to make their own content, whether it be reading their stories. Obviously, I'm a writer, so I would read my own stories. Or if you're an artist doing drawings, you just kind of need to keep people updated and upload a lot, and keep people in the know. Especially if you're doing a campaign that hasn't fulfilled, it's important for people to see what you're doing. I think that's really important. Yeah.
This is quite impressive. I'm just checking out your YouTube channel, and early channels, you're probably getting more views than I am. You got 11, 28, 41 views. And then I looked at Bric-A-Brac #1 Indiegogo video, and it jumps up to 180 views. So that's
biggest video. I think that has a lot to do with the popularity of the campaign, though. Probably not me.
Well, you're the brains behind it. So
True. But I think eventually, people say that the first 8 months is really hard when you're uploading consistently, but then you gain a following. You see people get 1,000 subscribers, and they've been doing it every single. They've been uploading it every 3 days for 8 months or so. And it happens, it does. It really does. I think people think it's impossible, but it does happen. So.
Oh yeah, it does happen. I personally find it very challenging to put out content consistently.
Yeah.
That's why my channel suffers. Oh my. But you're doing the right thing and putting out regular, consistent content, and that's what people like. They always want to see your newest videos. Like one of the people I follow is Grace Randolph,
Uh-huh.
Beyond the Trailer. I don't know if you've heard of her.
I think I do know her. Yeah, she actually used to write for DC, I think. She wrote a couple of Justice League titles, I think, for DC. Yeah, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, and she even released her own book before, Superbia,
Oh, okay.
which is like what happens to superheroes in their off hours.
Oh, okay. Cool.
You know, when they're not out there fighting the big baddies and stuff like that, what is their personal life and relationships like?
For sure.
Yeah, and you know, she's one of the creators I regularly kind of rely on or fall back on to look for new content, especially when you know there are a lot of big Comicsgate creators, Ethan Van Sciver, John Malin. And Fandom Menace channels like Anna, that Star Wars girl, who I also consistently, quote unquote, religiously follow. But sometimes, you want a mix of media. Like a lot of theirs are long ass streams, 3, 4, 5 hours long. And
Right.
you don't necessarily have the time to sit in and enjoy those. So I'll sometimes end up watching those on replay. And then I, for the small snippets, I'll go to, Laura Legends or Grace Randolph's Beyond the Trailer and things like that.
Yeah. Because you wanna kind of mix it up a little bit and not because she does her streams, like she does movie commentaries, but then she also does news, and then she also does. So I think one of the things I should probably work on is having kind of a little bit more than just the podcast, reading the stories, kind of have more of a variety. Right.
Speaking of podcasts, it's been many years since I explored that form of entertainment. Is there a medium whereby people can, provide feedback? Is there any kind of, I presume not really a chat room per se.
Not really. I was thinking about making a Discord or Reddit or something like that, though. I think that I will do that so that maybe I can get questions or this sort of thing, or, maybe that would work.
Okay. Yeah, if I possibly can, I'm going to try and avoid Discord and Reddit.
Yes.
But, I don't know. Maybe one of these days.
For sure.
Welcome, Adenui. That sounds like adult comic. You must be talking about, you must be referring to Superbia, the one I was just talking about. I don't know. I kind of am fascinated by those kinds of things, taking a little different angles, like that TV series, The Boys. Is it on Netflix? But it's supposed to be a superhero series, but it's like they're all anti-heroes.
Yeah.
It's like exploring it from, what if these superheroes, they got all these power, they're blessed with all these powers, but they're total assholes. How do they interact with, Earthlings and stuff like that? So, I kind of find stuff like that interesting.
Yeah, no, it definitely is very interesting.
So Bric-A-Brac, you've got number 2 as your current campaign.
Yes.
A fantasy Christmas story. How did you come up? Well, how long did it take to, bring this idea to fruition? Like, what was your inspiration?
Yeah. Very, very much my inspiration was the Rankin Bass movies that I really loved as a kid. The Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Year Without a Santa Claus, or Rudolph Shiny New Year. Just those puppet movies are very special to me. I remember them airing on, all this, all everywhere. And especially around the Christmas time. And I just think that those movies, they have a integrity. They have a really, there's something very special about them that I don't think a lot of children's movies have captured. I think it's very simplistic, but yet they have these great characters, and they have musical numbers, and they have all these different things that people forget that there's actually music in almost all, if not every single Rankin Bass movie. And like, I just love that it's really this whole universe, because it actually has a time where, like, Jack Frost, for example, he wears the same costume in Rudolph, Frosty and Rudolph's shine. I think there's a movie called Rudolph and Frosty or whatever, and Jack Frost is in it, and then he's wearing the same costume as he did in Frosty Returns or whatever. All this stuff, like, there is a universe that people don't really realize with this Rankin and Bass movies. And I was just like, wow, I've always wanted to do something like this. What if I could make a fully fleshed world, a fantasy world, where there's dragons and all these different things, but put Christmas characters in there and kind of make it serious, and but also obviously make it kid oriented and about what we love about Christmas. And I wanted it to follow a 10-year-old boy, because I remember when I was 10, people were telling me, Christmas is about this, or Christmas is all about gifts, or Christmas is stupid, it's pointless. And so I that's why I wanted the main character to be a 10-year-old boy, because that's kind of where you're that's honestly where a lot of kids stop believing in Santa Claus, or maybe younger, or your perception of Christmas changes at that moment, and you start to decide, what is Christmas going to be for me from here on out. And that's where we find our main character. Obviously, he lives on a planet Christmas, but the planet is in turmoil, and there's a war going on, and he believes that if he can find Father Christmas, it can all go away. And so it's kind of like he holds that childlike wonder in him that we all had when we were 10 years old, thinking Santa was still a thing. We wanted to hold on. I wanted to hold on to the idea that Santa was still a thing, and I really believed it, and I really do, and I still believe in a sense that there's a part of him that does exist, but it's about that childlike wonder, and that's what the main character. It started really with him, and then I kind of built this universe with the Rankin Bass stuff, and said, we'll take these characters that we're familiar with, some that we aren't, and just create something really cool. And I think that's what I've done with this series. I'm super happy with it. I hope we fund. Bric-A-Brac 2, I will say, adds more characters, adds more conflict, adds conflict between both of our main characters, which is, I think necessary when you're adding a second act to a 3-act story. And it's in every way, I think, a great sequel. It's a great issue too, I think. So that's the inspiration, and that's pretty much how I was inspired to make the book.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I love those movies. And
yeah,
they're so good that people to this day watch a number of them every year at Christmas.
Right.
And Christmas is my personal favorite holiday. Well, Thanksgiving is really high up there too. But those were like children's movies, but they also spoke to adults. They were written kind of like Pixar movies, where adults can still enjoy them, and they can see the value in them, and it's like they taught lessons, but they weren't heavy-handed, and you had this little adventure, and it was entertaining.
Yeah, and it was all in an hour, and it's just it's so simplistic. It's great. It's great, and I just wanted to take it a step further and say, well, we're going to go to this. We're going to make it epic. We're going to make it like if this was like the last Rankin Bass movie ever, how epic would it be? Like make it bring everybody in, make it this huge war, and that's what the main concept was. Like, make it completely epic, and so that's kind of what the whole concept of the the war on Planet Christmas was, trying to just make it something really important. And so
let's go ahead and check out this video here.
Mm-hmm. The Nutcracker's War has left the inhabitants of Planet Christmas hopeless and desperate for heroes. Dozens of provinces and villages have been taken over by General Almond and his evil soldiers who aim to rule the planet and capture all the Christmas spirit that's left. But out of nowhere, a new hope has arisen. Our young hero Garrett is on a quest to find Father Christmas, who he believes is the only man that might have the power to dismantle the war completely. Garrett, and a leader of the small but mighty Christmasville militia, could be the only chance the planet has at returning to its jolly old self. But several questions remain. Where's Father Christmas, and why has he not stopped the war already? Who is Jack Frost, and what dark partnership did he have with General Almond? And what evil lurks behind the drawbridge of Castle Wenceslas? Raphael Sam will once again be the interior artist of this second issue. I, RyanHaack, will continue to write the story, and Tom Barton, our great cover artist, will draft the 5-page backup story, The Tragedy of Jack Frost, as well as drawing the variant and main cover of the second issue. Bric-A-Brac is back and better than ever. Please help us make this a reality.
Sweet. What I like about it is it's informative. It gives you, it gives you details. It introduces the creators behind the project, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And you get some sampling of the art.
yeah,
And you kind of get a sense of where you're going with this.
yeah, exactly.
It sounds like ultimately this is going to be a trilogy series.
Yes. Yep.
So this is like the Empire Strikes Back of the trilogy.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Because I the characters will certainly be at their lowest by the time it ends. And I know that it's a children's story, but the characters will, be really, really put into a situation that they haven't been in before, and kind of obviously at odds with each other. And so it's going to be very interesting for people to see.
Have you written out the entire script for all 3 books already?
Yes, I have. Yep.
All right, so you've already got all the character arcs worked out and all that good stuff.
For sure. Yep.
Nice. So you're presently at. All right. Before I forget the question, forget to ask it. This is a fantasy Christmas story. Do you anticipate after this trilogy concludes that you might tackle another holiday, like maybe Bric-A-Brac, a Halloween story, Bric-A-Brac, an Easter story?
Maybe. I think the main thing with this, I really want to just see if I can explore the world itself. Like, I want to flesh, like, if I were to do a sequel, I would just do it on the planet again, but with a new aspect. And I knew it would be cool to have that kind of Star Wars, like, oh, we go to this planet and this planet. But I think I would like to have more of a kind of like a Lord of the Rings, like just focus on one planet, and there's just all these different things that you haven't seen. And just, I think that this story, although there is intergalactic moments in it, 100%. I think that it's important to keep it not complicated. Again, with the Rankin Bass thing. And I know that there's definitely some crazy sci-fi stuff going on in, for example, Rudolph's Shiny New Year, where, Rudolph travels through time and stuff like that. But that's not to say that something like that's out of the question in this book, but I think keeping it on the planet is important, not only because we've already kind of established some things. I just think it will work, and you never know. We might have moments where they go to another place for a moment, but I think just keeping things on the planet is important. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot. There's there's different underground civilizations we only get to see for a little bit. Christmas and Atlantis. So Crisplantis, for example, is underground population of people who celebrate Christmas, but it's like Atlantis. Or there's a lot of different places like that that we could explore with other maybe Bric-A-Brac, the sequel to this entire story itself. So.
All right. Pretty sweet. So you're at 2121 USD right now.
Yes.
24% of your $8,600 fixed goal.
Yes.
Can you share what it means to have a fixed goal versus a flexible goal?
Yes. So a fixed goal means you do not get any of the proceeds or any of the money if you don't make it. If you don't make the goal. If I don't reach the 8,600. So I will not get any of the money earned or raised, I suppose, if I don't get to that. Which it is a safer bet always, I think, because, I would rather ask for what I really need to make the book than fall short. I don't, and it's not fair to the people who are buying the book if I don't. I never go halfway. If I'm going to do something, I want to make sure that it is to the highest quality, and I think that this is the price I have to ask for. I've put a lot of my money in the book already, and this is the price I have to ask for. And so, if we can make it happen, I would love it. I'm not going to give up. I'm gonna, if this fails in October, I'll go right to Kickstarter, do another one, and if that fails, I'll go back to Indiegogo in November and do another one, and in December I'll go back. I want to make this book happen. I hope I show people that I'm very dedicated. Because this book means a lot to me. So with that being said, I do hope we reach the goal, but that's what a fixed goal is.
Yeah, awesome. 61 backers so far. Let's get this up. Let's back this book. Have you already done other campaigns on Kickstarter?
Yes, I did the first volume of the anthology we were speaking of on there. I did succeed with that one. I did a version of the very first one on Kickstarter. I failed it, and then I moved to Indiegogo, and so I failed that. And then I did a couple other ones. But I think Kickstarter might be good for me to bring this to, because it is more of a child-friendly story. There's actual filters for children's books in that on Kickstarter. But I hope that we could maybe. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Again, these are both fan generators. Kickstarter literally is a fan generator. You put your campaign there and it generates interest from people. It's an interest machine. And it, basically it just tries to get your product out in front of people. That's why it takes a cut. That's why Kickstarter takes a big cut of your, book, like the proceeds you make. It is a fan making machine. And I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Obviously, for the campaigns that failed, it doesn't work. But for the ones that succeed, it usually works very well.
That brings up an interesting question. So with, hold on real quick. Welcome, Eric McIntyre. Hello there. Good to have you. So on Kickstarter, since they do take that cut, when you're factoring in how much you want your goal to be, are you basically are you factoring in Kickstarter's cut and increasing your total goal to compensate?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think they take like 6% or something like that, and Indiegogo takes 5%, I think, or something like that. And so you definitely factor that in, because if you get to some of these campaigns get to $1 million, I couldn't imagine the cuts that like how 5% of $1 million is like it's a lot of money. It's $50,000, and so I mean it can be very, very huge, because it's not. I think it might be of what your goal is. I'm not sure. I think actually it's of what you make. It's not of what your goal is. I think it's of what you make. And so that's huge, especially if you make a huge amount of money and they take that. That's big. But yeah, I do factor that in, but I don't think I'll ever be making $1 million, because
You never know. It's getting close to Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. I hope, but maybe. I don't know. That'd be a lot of work. I would have to hire people
to fulfill it.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone crammed into your place.
Yes.
All right, let's see here. So 24% of 8,600, so far so good. This is in the funding stages. How did you, what is your approach? Are you doing like 30 days of funding, renew 30 more days of funding?
So we already did the first 30.
Oh,
we already did the first 30, and we only got to 20%. So it was rough. It was a rough battle, but I haven't gotten to 20% in over 6 months on a campaign. So I was happy. So I'm just going to try to push as hard as I can. If I don't make it on Indiegogo, like I said, I'm going to Kickstarter. And again, if I fail there, I'm coming back here. I just want to make this book happen. Since it's getting to the holidays, the book will not arrive before Christmas if we don't succeed this campaign. But it will arrive, and I think that people, just the idea of the book during, funding it during Christmas it makes people happy. And, I'll get to share the pages progress with them, and I'll get to share the PDF of the first book with them. Hopefully that's enough to get them excited for it. But, that's what happened with the first campaign. We didn't fulfill until February. So I think that it can succeed. I do believe it can. I do.
Right. I don't know if you could share this at all, but is this kind of an arrangement whereby you need to hit that fixed goal amount before you can get the artist to proceed with the project and get started and get it moving?
We have a good relationship. If I say, hey, I would like to have a couple pages done, and I just pay him, and he kind of says, okay, well, we'll do it. And but sometimes he does take time out of his work schedule to just work really hard on the book. One time, he worked there was a week, I think, or 2 weeks where he was working on 2 pages a day, which is crazy. He's just a very excellent artist, and the project would not be the same without him. And to go back to your point about what my inspiration was for the story, 2 years ago we met, and I was using ArtStation, and I found his work, and I said, I know I want to use this guy's work for this story that I've had in my mind for a very, very long time. And so the story went through a lot of different processes, a lot of different, obviously first it was based on Earth. It was based on our planet. There were actual people walking around, but then I realized, I think to make it feel like the last Rankin and Bass movie, like at the very end of everything, like what does it look like? War of the Worlds, like the very end. To make it like that, to make it epic, and to make it more of a bigger scope, I wanted to bring it to a planet on its own, and make it more intergalactic and just more epic and more comic booky, honestly. And so with that, we kind of came up with the idea. And yeah, but he would work on the book just with payment and stuff like that. It's not like I have to finish the goal. No, it's not like that.
Cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so after the second 30 days of funding conclude, are you going in demand?
Yeah, I would love to go in demand. Yeah, definitely. I would love to. If we succeed, I would absolutely love to go to in demand. Yep, because I think it's a great program. I think Indiegogo, it's a no-brainer to use it because it gives you more tools.
Yeah.
It gives you way more tools than any other. And why wouldn't you want them? I just think that the restriction. I think Kickstarter's philosophy is the restriction. It gets people to pay more attention. Right. And that 30 days, it gets people really, it's basically like fear, kind of. Like, it's like, okay, well, I really want this project to make it, but, and if I don't put my money into it, it's going to disappear forever. That's what they're hoping. That's why they say that if a project reaches 20%, then there's an 90% chance that it's going to succeed, which is true, I think. I feel that is true. But but that's their philosophy, and that works for them. The limiting, taking away the tools, but I don't understand why you wouldn't want Indiegogo. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I do like about Indiegogo, because, you know, especially during the pandemic, people are concerned about, you know, how they're going to feed themselves. But at the same time, there's this whole environment of this surge in indie comics.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is freaking amazing. It's like so phenomenal.
It's very crazy, because I think it doesn't. It honestly almost doesn't make sense sometimes, where it's like, why are all these people buying independent comic books now of all times? You know, because these are more expensive than normal comic books. They are. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, my book is 30 pages, but it's still not cheaper than a 30-page book you can get in a comic book store. And that there's a lot of reasons for that. But it is really interesting to me that people are more willing to buy independent books now than maybe even going to comic book stores, which is crazy to me.
The mainstream comic book industry has failed the customers, and the weirdest thing happened. They put down the fans and drove them away, you know, acted like that they were better than thou, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like they were following everything opposite Business 101.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that happen. And I think another thing that, you know, it kind of shows the respect that DC has for their employees, that whole thing that happened like a couple weeks ago, where they, you know, totally took off, or they totally fired all those editors who've worked on their company for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I mean, Bob Harris is a legend. And Bob Harris edited some of the best X-Men books ever, and yet he got fired. And I hope he finds work. And I've heard maybe he would find work at Marvel again. But I mean, regardless, that doesn't. I mean, it just shows you how much respect they have for their creators. None.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with them when they say pencils down. You know, it just shows you that they have zero respect for their creators. It means nothing to them. What they get money off of is advertisement, movies, merchandise for the movies. And basically other people using their trademark. That's it. It's really not the comic books. And I mean, it's just sad, but it's kind of how it is.
Yeah, it is. Did it take long for you to? It seems based on your story and the artwork that we're seeing here, that you literally you've hit the nail on the head. You found the perfect balance. You came up with an awesome match, art to suit your story. Did it take long to find this artist, or was it relatively easy based on all the samples that artists would share with you?
Well, there are two artists involved in this story. So one is Raphael, the guy who did all the interior art. And like I said, I found him on ArtStation just kind of on a whim. He does a lot of tribute covers to Marvel characters, or he does, you know, if you go on his Instagram, for example, he does a lot of cartoon characters. I just found him through Instagram and through ArtStation. I don't really know how I did. I just saw one of his sequential pages, and I was just like, wow. And so I found him. The artist who does the covers and who is doing the backup story in this book, Tom Barton. So their art is very complimentary. This looks like it's drawn probably by Raphael, but actually it's drawn by my friend Tom. Oh. And Tom, I met through an anthology I was printed in, and he did a cover for it, and then he did some drawings in it, and I reached out to him, and we did a small little comic book that was actually turned into a motion comic that I turned into a motion comic with my own money, and that happened. And so he drew that page. This is Tom's page, actually. You can kind of tell the difference in coloring, but their art is, again, very complimentary. So those are the two artists involved, and I've had a long relationship with both of them at this point, 2 years of at least, and so we've been working on this for quite some time now.
I just love it. It's very colorful. You've got all this action. I love fantasy, sci-fi kind of stuff. I love Christmas, and I love the Nutcracker soldiers. It's really cool stuff, and it all works really well together. And it's good that you are sharing a lot of pieces of artwork, so people can get a feel for what they're getting into.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to show sequential pages. Absolutely.
Okay, and then you broke out what we're looking at cost-wise, the logistics, as you put it.
Yep.
25-page comic book, identical in design to the last comic, which is Bric-A-Brac #1. So you already have the research on shipping costs and how much it'll cost to deliver. Let's see. Art and lettering, we're looking at $5,000. Printing, issue #2 and reprints of 1. That's good. $1,000. And shipping nationwide and international, $2,500. That's cool. I noticed on the other campaign, I think it was the one where you were selling both books 1 and 2 together.
Yeah.
You even included a pie chart with a breakdown.
Yes. Yeah, that's also helpful. But I just thought, I don't know. I just decided to kind of go a little different this time. But I think it is good to show the breakdown because I think it gives people more trust. And last time I did, I again, like I said, it's identical in size to this, so I know how much this costed to ship, the length and width, and so I know what I'm in for basically. So I want people to understand that I'm not going to get killed on the shipping, because I'm aware of what I'm in for. So because I know that the shipping kills, like it really hurts a lot of people. And because they just, it might be their first time, especially their first time around. It might be that, when they print the book, it's heavier than they expected or longer than they expected, or it's just, it's really good to give that trust to your fan base, I think.
Very, very cool. Let's check out the perks here.
Yeah.
So we got the digital version, which is on a PDF. That's nice and clear. $8. Out of all the campaigns you run, do you find that there's a pretty good interest level in digital, or does most of your audience prefer physical?
I would say the digital is more popular with people across different countries. That's where a lot of people said, hey, we need digital perks. And I get it. I understand. I think that it's important to have them. And I would say I think it's important to have them. I also think, it's free to do them. It's free money. It's not like it costs me anything. And so, and I get that there's the risk of getting the book out there, keep people getting it for free because it's just a Dropbox link. And that's going to happen anyway, unfortunately, especially when these campaigns, they're community events. It's going to happen. And so I have no fear of that. Again, it's kind of free money. So I don't see why not. But when you get books that are hardcover and the experience is really having the book, I totally understand. But my book is just a floppy book, and it's not anything crazy. It's a very basic comic book. And so I think I have no problem doing digital at all.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've always thought was cool about, I think despite the fear that it'll be ripped off if it's digital, I think they're more likely if people have access to it digitally and it gets spread around, the worst that can happen is people are going to fall in love with it so much that they're going to want to find a way to get a physical copy.
Yeah.
So it's like a side effect, if you will.
Yeah, I think you're right too.
Then we've got the physical copy of issue number 2. So we got that one right on. Next one is the BAB Digital Deluxe. Let's see here. Oh, all right. Bric-A-Brac, BAB.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if it would make a difference if you put periods after each of them or dashes. Number 1 digital and number 2 digital. That's cool. Because people are going to want to catch up on the story.
For sure. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, even if every book is a unique, self-contained story, people are going to want to find out what happened prior. Then we got the physical copies of 1 and 2. Nice, nice. That's very good. Is this the cover for number 2?
No, that's the cover for. It's a variant cover for number 1. So the reprints will have a new cover.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
Nice. That's a good way to differentiate. Then you got the Bric-A-Brac Deluxe for $30. You'll get the physical copy of number 2, exclusive Jack Frost print, and Bric-A-Brac bookmark. Sweet. Does the backside of the bookmark say anything?
Yeah, it just has the logo, but it's going to be a new character. It's not going to be that one. Those are the old ones, so it's going to be a new character.
All right. Cool. People are into bookmarks and prints.
I love them. I've used them a lot. So.
Ooh, Bric-A-Brac super fan, right on. So you get number 2 physical copy, the Jack Frost print, the bookmark, and the T-shirt. Ooh.
Yes.
Cool. Create a Christmas character? What?
Yes.
What? Number 2 physical copy, Jack Frost print, Bric-A-Brac bookmark, Bric-A-Brac T-shirt. T-shirts are always fun. Create a Christmas tree character.
Yeah, a Christmas character. Basically, last time we had people of the community create a character. So, for example, there was this dad who paid for his 2 young girls to be able to create characters in the book. Obviously, it's a book that has a lot of different factions. There's a war going on, so there's a lot of opportunity to have background characters. And so I figured maybe this would be a good way to kind of make it very clearly a community book. It was a book. Without the community, the book would never exist. And so it just as a testament to that, kind of allowing some of the members to put their characters in it. And so that's what this perk does. Is whatever obviously it has to be appropriate, but you can put your character within the book. And so, I just think it's a really cool perk that people really liked last time. Clearly, this time not so much, but I think it's a good thing.
So, how much interest did the original one garner?
We got about 10.
Wow.
10 people.
So you had 10 different Christmas characters.
Yes. Some people did not respond, which happens sometimes with these campaigns. People just don't respond. If you ever fulfill a campaign, you'll know that sometimes people don't give their address and stuff like that. But that was like one person. But the rest of them, yep, they were all in.
So, is there any chance of those characters making a comeback in issue number 2?
Yeah, definitely. There's one person I was talking to about it. So, yep.
Ooh, neat. So, oh wow, all right, that's pretty sweet. All right, so create a Christmas character, and then sketch from Raphael Sam. Oh wow. So let's see here. You get number 2 physical copy, the Jack Frost print, a bookmark, a T-shirt, create a Christmas character, and a sketch. How big is the
Yes.
sketch?
So we're hoping they're going to be a little larger this time. Last time, as you see, they're a little smaller, but this time I want them to be maybe about, I don't know. I'm not quite sure the diameter, but maybe like just a little bit, maybe like half of this page or something, like just something small, but maybe something you can frame. That's kind of the idea. It's just something that is about the size of the book, but you can frame it, and you know, not necessarily a headshot, maybe a full body shot. That's kind of what we're trying to go for this time, is something a little larger. So
is a sketch like? I mean, in the picture here, it kind of makes me think it might. It was originally like trading card size.
Yes, they were originally trading card size.
All right. And so this sketch this time around is likely going to be closer to the size of the book.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Are you making use of the add-on feature in Indiegogo?
Yes, add-ons. Yes, I am using the add-ons. So you can add issue 1 to any perk you'd like. Obviously, you wouldn't add it to the ones that have the bundles, but there are some of them that just have issue 2. So I figured with no shipping, you can add on 1 issue of issue 1. So
nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another tool that Indiegogo gives you that Kickstarter does not give you.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a good thing.
I love the add-on feature because, I mean, it saves people, hopefully, from having to back several times just to get what they want.
Exactly.
And it also minimizes excessive shipping charges.
Right. 100%.
So basically, the sketch from Raphael Sam is the tier that is basically everything you get from the Create a Christmas character tier.
Yes.
Except you're basically paying $50 for the sketch.
Yes.
Which is definitely reasonable. All right. So, and that's really cool that you have the what is it called? The add-on, so you can get issue number 1 because people are definitely going to want that.
Yep, absolutely.
If I had one remark for this campaign, I think there's still time to do so. Well, number 1, I think, well, maybe it was clear, maybe it wasn't, that I highly recommend you do take advantage of the in-demand once this completes funding. I mean, as I understand, you have to be fully funded before you're eligible for in-demand.
You do.
So we're going to have to push this and get you fully funded.
Yeah.
So that can happen. And then the other thing is make a featured tier. Featured tier, as I describe it, is the best bang for your buck. It's not going to be the cheapest tier. It's not going to be the most expensive. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. And it gives you a good taste of, you know, the story you bought into. Gives you a little taste of everything. You get the book. You'll get a few goodies. And a lot of people are into featured tiers, especially, you know, people live busy lives, and sometimes they want to put their support behind your project, but they don't have the time to, you know, thoroughly dig down deep into each of the tiers. So by having a featured tier, they go, oh, all right. It kind of highlights it for them.
Yeah.
And they can make a quick decision, a quick purchase. So that's a huge benefit, I think, to it.
For sure.
And let's go ahead and watch this trailer once more.
The Nutcracker's War has left the inhabitants of Planet Christmas hopeless and desperate for heroes. Dozens of provinces and villages have been taken over by General Almond and his evil soldiers who aim to rule the planet and capture all the Christmas spirit that's left. But out of nowhere, a new hope has arisen. Our young hero Garrett is on a quest to find Father Christmas, who he believes is the only man that might have the power to dismantle the war completely. Garrett, and a leader of the small but mighty Christmasville militia, could be the only chance the planet has of returning to its jolly old self. But several questions remain. Where's Father Christmas, and why has he not stopped the war already? Who is Jack Frost, and what dark partnership did he have with General Almond? And what evil lurks behind the drawbridge of Castle Wenceslas? Raphael Sam will once again be the interior artist of this second issue. I, RyanHaack, will continue to write the story, and Tom Barton, our great cover artist, will draft the 5-page backup story, The Tragedy of Jack Frost, as well as drawing the variant and main cover of the second issue. Bric-A-Brac is back and better than ever. Please help us make this a reality.
Right on. Were you guys able to see that? I had it maximized. Were you able to see the trailer?
Yep, I could see it for sure.
All right, cool. Sometimes I freak out and, and think that everyone's just looking at a blank screen. So, Bric-A-Brac #2, Fantasy Christmas Story. Everybody back this book. This is really good.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Would you do me the honor? I'm going to give you the floor. Would you share with the audience how you can be found on social media?
For sure. So I'm on Twitter at HAACK_pro. So that's where you will find the link to the campaign. I am just on Indiegogo. Look up Bric-A-Brac. You will find the campaign for this that we're speaking of now, or it's all over my Twitter. Again, my Twitter has my LinkTree, which has every single link to everything I have. My podcast, my my Unspeakable Text website, where you can read all the short stories that I've done, and some of them that will be in the next volume, and read the ones that you missed in the first one, and as well as just a lot of other stuff. Obviously, the campaign is also linked there. So I'm everywhere on social media. So yeah, and again, thank you so much for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Definitely been a pleasure. I meant to ask, with it being, it's like 25 pages, right?
30 pages.
30 pages. Is this a quote unquote floppy?
It's floppy, but it is a gloss cover, and it's kind of more durable than most. The pages are a lot more durable. It's harder than most. It's glossy, as you can see.
Does it have staples?
Yes, it does.
All right. Nice.
But yeah, people have said that it's a lot better quality than most floppy books. So
it is. Yeah, it looks pretty too.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at WyzGyz Tweets, on Twitch at WyzGyz Twitches, Parlay at WyzGyz Parlays. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube under WyzGyz Entertainment. I want to thank everyone in the audience for joining us. I thank you for everyone who watches this on replay. And a very special thanks to RyanHaack for joining us today and hanging out with us as we promote Bric-A-Brac #2. Everybody back this book. I know I got it. All right, so we are ending the broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Hail chat.